morning for me, I just want to focus on Psalm number 27, verse 14. We see in this passage how King David he prays to God, and then as sometimes as we are human being, we used to focus on our own problems sometimes. And then when we see our present contact and present situation, sometimes we have to focus our problem and the kinds of things we have faced in our life. In that time, how the word of the Lord teaches us in verse 14, Psalm number 27, verse 14. Wait on the Lord, be of good courageous, and he shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Yeah, how we have to wait on the Lord. And in verse 1, it will say again, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? He prays to God. He is the one who gives life, and he is the one who gives salvation. And in the whole passage, in under all this thing, we see how God had delivered in the lives of King David. That's what God. That's what the Word of God said to us. We need to focus on our life because God is bigger than our problem. Our problem. That's what He just wants to us. Wait on the Lord. Be of good, courageous, and He shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Thank you.
Yeah, when we read scriptures like this, Psalm 27:14, and David is telling us to wait on the Lord. David is telling us out of experience because David ran away from Saul. I think it was like 13 or 14 years. So talk about waiting on the Lord. Year after year, Lord, deliver me from this. Lord, deliver me from this. And no answer for no deliverance for 13, 14 years. So if anybody knows about God's patience and waiting on the Lord, is King David.
Yeah, that's one thing we don't like to do is wait.
Right.
We don't wait for anything. We get mad when the internet's 10 seconds slow or something. We can't wait. We don't want to wait. We want to stand in line. We don't want to wait. We get impatient, especially waiting on the Lord. That's what happens a lot of times. Take things into our own hands instead of giving God time to do something.
Yes.
Something happens, we jump on and start doing something. It's like, well, why don't you wait? You don't even give God a chance to even get in there. And he could do it that quick, but be patient. What's to say? Don't be anxious for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Definitely good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Patiently wait for the Lord. Because verse 13 says, "I'm confident I will see the Lord's goodness." But you have to wait on it.
Daniel chapter 10, verse 2. In those days, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant food, no meat or wine came into my mouth, nor did I anoint myself at all till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. Now on the 24th day of the first month, I was on the side of the great river, that is, in Tigris. I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose waist was girded with gold of ephahs. His body was like beryl, and his face was like the appearance of lightning. His eyes were like torches of fire, and his arms and feet were like burnished bronze in color. And the sound of his words were like the voice of multitudes. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men who were with me did not see the vision. But a great terror fell upon them, so they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone when I saw the great vision, and no strength remained in me, for my vigor was turned to frailty in me, and I retained no strength. Yet I heard the sound of his words, And while I heard the sound of his words, I was deep in a deep sleep to my face, with my face to the ground. Suddenly the hand touched me, which made me tremble on my feet and on the palms of my hands. And he said, "Oh Daniel, man greatly loved, understand the words that I speak to you and stand upright, for I have now been sent to you." While he was speaking these words to me, I stood trembling, and he said to me, "Do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before your God. Your words were heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left alone there with the king of Persia. Now I have come to make you understand what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision refers to many days to come." So here the point was about waiting on God, was that Daniel had prayed, and it took 20 something days 24 days to get his prayer answered. And it said that from the first day he prayed, God actually had heard it. And when he sent the messenger to him, there was a battle between the angel and the king of Persia. I'm assuming it's some kind of demon or something. And that was just a great battle. But imagine if Daniel was impatient. They just waited on the Lord.
Kind of reminded me of Daniel. Let's see here. Let's see. It's Daniel 4. Daniel 3 with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. In verse Daniel 3:18, it says, so the whole story again about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego wouldn't bow down to the statue, and in verse 17 they said, "If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the furnace of blazing fire, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But even if he does not, let it be known to you, O king, we are not going to serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." So they're willing to wait on God. And the whole idea, even if he doesn't take care of their physical needs at that moment. I can't think of a greater physical need than to not be burnt to death, right? So this is great faith and a great example, I think, of waiting on God. And when Brother Thang was reading back in Psalm 27:14, I thought of an example of not waiting, and you could think about Abraham as a great a man of faith as he was. I mean, the great man of faith, right? In the Hebrews chapter 11 Hall of Fame, or the Hall of Faith, people call it, right? The Lord told him he was going to bless him, and that through his seed he was going to bless all the nations of the earth. And he told him, "Look up at the sky." He goes, "Can you count the stars?" "No, I can't count the stars." And he goes, "Well, that's how many offspring you're going to have," right? And so at this point, he doesn't even have a son, and he's nearly 100 years old. So he does have faith in God, but he does take a detour, and he doesn't really wait, right? Because his wife comes and says, "Hey, look, I've got this handmaid. Let's make it happen on our own. Right. Let's do it on our own through human means." So I think that you have a really good example there of not waiting, and then you look at your example of Daniel, for 3 weeks, right? It's almost like he was fasting, right? He's not eating meat. He's not drinking wine. He's not combing his hair. I mean, all those things. So kind of a before and after type of thing.
Yeah.
Yes. And then if we see the rest passage, King David he's just focused on God, focusing God word only. That means whenever he faced the problem in his life, the way he's focusing God. That's why in second paragraph you see wait on the Lord and of a good courageous, a good courage is very important to courageous.
Mm-hmm.
And next, he shall strengthen thy heart. Okay, he give strength in our heart also. Wait, I say on the Lord. I mean, how much we have to focus on God. That means you see this passage.
Yes.
Like this, we see in present context in the world also nowadays. We see many problems are there in the world. And just COVID, and then every we see even in COVID also, right? First, second, third wave, second wave, third wave, it's all going on time. Okay. In our life, how we have to focus, what is our main target. Okay, so just we have to see and then we have to learn, like example of King David, how he focused on God.